Hi everyone, and welcome to my craft room. Today I'm going to be continuing my spring journal series using art impression stamps and dies, and specifically I am using the journal template dies to create the main journal itself, but then inside I'm using stamps that are variety. So we have some that I'm using that are from the watercolor collection specifically for the journal, and a lot of others are not. They are just part of the normal art impressions stamp line. So today I'm going to show you 4 new pages, and this is the way it's going to work. I'm going to show you the 4 new pages and talk to you about what products were used in them and how I created them. And then at the end of this video you can watch the coloring of one of the pages if you so choose to do. And if you want to get some ideas and tips on how I color, that's a good place to continue watching. If you don't want to see all that, you can just quit after I get done showing you what I did. So let's get started looking at these pages. Alright, so I've opened up my journal and I'm showing you the first page I'm going to talk about. Now I did post this as a teaser last weekend, but this is so cute and it turned out great. The primary images here come from a set called Easter Chick Set. It was a new set last year at this time, and it's really cute. You have several different options for the pose of the chick, and then you can put headgear on them to make them cuter yet still. So there's a couple different bow options. You can make them into having bunny ears, and there's this Easter hat. Of course, what would Easter be without an Easter hat? Then it also has some eggs, some flower images and greenery, and this cute little bag or basket. To me it kind of seems like a purse, but it's probably intended to be a little miniature Easter basket. So it's really a cute set. Then the background paper I used came from the Valentine Journal Series paper pad, and it's this green check. There's also a red and a pink. This gives you a really good idea that this isn't just Valentine's Day. These plaids and checks and stripes and polka dots, they're great for any season really, even I would say into Christmas, because you do have red and green, right? And then this is another picture of some of the flower patterns. So the point of me telling you this is that if you pick up something called a Valentine journal pad, just know that it's not just for Valentine's Day. It's good for a lot of occasions and all through the year, in my opinion. Now the frame in the background comes from 5591 Journal Rectangle Frames. It's this beautiful frame right here. And in case you're interested, there are 4 different accessory sets that work in the journal templates. And I did do a video on those where I took all of the dies for each set and put them on a paper like this so you could see what they look like. If you're interested in that, I'll put the link to that video right up there in the corner and you can go check it out. But in any case, that is what I used for the little frame, which adds a little bit more to the page. Then I just decorated it up a little with some gems and some epoxy hearts. The only other thing that I used is within the journal template die set, which is huge by the way. This is the set, and I always put my dies on magnetic sheets, and so you can see how much is included in this template set. It's huge, and it's good for all kinds of card making. Again, not just for the journal template, but also for cards in general. I use it a lot. So there is a bow die in that journal template set that I used for the bow on the hat. So I think it turned out really nice. Alright, so let's look at the second page I did. In this one I have a spring window with the word spring underneath, and the main stamping image here that I used is Mailbox Window Set, and this is a Windows to the World series, and it was designed also to be a shadow box card which goes with this set, shadow box window die. In this case I didn't use it to make a shadow box, but I did use the frame of the window and also the bottom of the window. So I think that looks really cute in here. The letters come from the journal letter die set. They are quite small, as you can see, and they're really cute to use and just the right size for this smaller format. Then I also used the papers from this time the Easter Journal series, or spring paper. I think when you go to the store it might actually say it's spring, not Easter. But again, other than for a few patterns that have eggs, none of this necessarily says it's Easter either. It definitely says spring. It's all pastel, but there are different pages and patterns that could be used year-round in this as well. And it's really cute. All the different patterns. There are some stripes, there's some checks or plaids, polka dots, and there's some subtle patterns here too, such as this one. So anyway, this is a really nice paper pad as well, and I would highly recommend it if you're looking for some small patterns. It's sometimes hard to find the small patterns you really need for a card size format. A lot of manufacturers of paper will take the same size of pattern for a 12 by 12 book and put it into a 6 by 6 dimension, but of course that doesn't help the size being just way too big for the card formats. The background is all cut from the journal cover and bookmark dies. Now what I did here is I just used this one to cut the background. Now this is a little too wide for a page because it's a journal cover, right? So all I did was cut off the one edge, and that cut off this little scalloped edge, which I don't think is a huge deal in the journal, but it still gave me this nice scallop edge on this side. And then I used two dies inside of that. There's this pretty scalloped lace, and then I also used this one, which is just two mini scallops on each side. So I just put that in the background to add more interest, and that fits perfectly on this page format without having to do any trimming at all. One thing I'll point out about this stamp and die set, again, this is called Mailbox Window Set. Actually, I don't know if I said the name of it, but it is 5410 Mailbox Window Set. It has a separate stamp and die for the mailbox, and that's how I got this sitting on the outside of the window, popped up with some foam tape. Alright, I'm going to show you the third and fourth page now. This one is awfully cute, isn't it? I've titled it Spring Chicken. This is actually a set that's made specifically for the Matchbox cards, but if you take the stamps and you do not stamp the tab parts onto your projects, you can combine your images like I did here. This is a separate stamp set or stamp image, and this is another one, and I just put them together and I masked off the tab portion of the stamp with some masking tape. So let me show you what I mean real quick. I have the stamps here. So this is going to be tough to see, I have a feeling, but this is the stamp that has the little hutch in it for the chickens. So when I put it on my stamping block, I just took a piece of tape like this and covered up that tab area on this side and this side, then inked it up, then removed this because obviously there's ink on that from your inking, and then stamped it onto my Copic friendly paper. And that's what I did with this image also, and that one. Now the spring chicken comes from the set. It is a sentiment right in there. So I think that worked actually pretty well. I hadn't tried it before, but I had no problems with it. I also made some masks after I stamped and colored it to go ahead and use some oxide inks and a cloud template to put in my orangey yellow background for the clouds, and then to add some green in here for the grass. I also used some light brown Copic marker, which I used to anchor in the little stamps that I used, which is a watercolor stamp that has grass. And I do bring that grass stamp out every once in a while because it is pretty handy to put in some grass without having to draw it. And that comes from this. This is the foliage set 4051. You can see there's two grasses. I use the smallest here. Just stamp them in randomly, and I think it worked out really nice. And this is also quite cute. Didn't do anything fancy with paper here. The background is my simple page, and I just used a Copic marker in orange to make a background so that it would kind of blend in. And now for the last page that I'm going to show you today. This is a gift card holder, and I used this corner gift card template die right from here. This is set 5589. Here it is. I also used a flourish die. This comes from the journal template die set, the original die set that has the dies to cut the journal cover and pages in. There's lots of little extras in that to decorate with, and that's a good example of it. Then also I used a flower, and that one comes from the journal oval frames set, and that's that little flower right there. If you wanted to use bigger or smaller, there's a bigger flower here and a smaller little flower there. So yeah, it's a great addition, all of these things to create your journals. Gives you lots of options. So the spring is in the air sentiment comes from the new Friend sentiment set. There's actually quite a few spring related or flower related sentiments in there, and so this has worked out really well for my spring journal. So now what I'm going to do is show you how to put it in the book. Once you finish your pages, and I do recommend you finish your pages before you put them in your book. I have done it both ways, and I think it's just a little easier if you do it after you're done decorating, because at that point you don't have to fight with the book anymore when you're trying to put things on your pages. So what we do is we match up this ledge, for lack of a better word, right up against the last page, matching the edges of your journal. You don't want it hanging above or below the top of your journal covers. And you can just press that in. And now I prefer to use wet glue for these. I use primarily art glitter glue. You can see how much I've used this. I keep refilling this bottle and it looks terrible, but it works. But anyway, art glitter glue dries really, really well and creates a very strong adhesion. So I never have anything that falls apart when I use art glitter glue. So even though these pages are going to get a lot of work, hopefully, by people looking at them, I am not concerned at all about the pages falling out if I'm using the art glitter glue. And then the wet glue gives me some time to wiggle things around and make sure everything's in the right place. So there you have it. Next time that I come back, we'll be doing the inside part and at least 2 to 3 more pages on the right side. So we are not quite half done, but more than half done, I guess, if you consider that the journal part itself is made and decorated. So it's just 3 pages left, 2 sides on each page, and then the center area here. We will make it by Easter for sure. Okay, thanks everybody for joining me, and do stay on if you're interested in seeing the coloring of this page. You'll see it all right there. Take care everyone, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.